Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Beehive State, which is known as Utah. And today's date, Saturday, September 19th, 2015. Yeah, still in the great state of Utah. And just a little bit some downtime until Monday, taking care of some business as usual. And I'll probably be pretty short, most likely. Nothing really, you know how I am, just you never know what comes up. But the first thing I'm going to be talking about is a good friend of mine named Felix Torres and his wife, beautiful wife. Let me see here. I always forget her name. I know she's gonna probably smack the crap out of me, but that's okay. Yeah, but called Devora. Yeah, Devora. Real nice folks. And what happened was her husband Felix was diagnosed with cancer, and they're doing a fundraiser donations. And what's pretty cool right now is the Felix Cancer Treatment Fund. And 3 days, they raise $1,325. Deborah Torres is her name. Create this on the 16th. And like I said, they're a beautiful couple. They have a beautiful son. And he's taking advantage of the last weekend before intensive treatment begins. So I'll be there for Monday. And please go to GoFundMe.com and donate money if you can. That'd be fantastic. I will add this link to my Spreaker page and everything else I'm going to be addressing. And we'll just read it from here. And it says here, "Dear everyone, thank you for taking the time to visit this page and show your support to Felix and our family. Your time means a lot to us, as it should to you. All too often we find ourselves rushing through life. We love all those precious moments waiting to see what's going to happen next. We make promises to do things, to go places, to see people, and life just carries over from one day to the next. We live half-heartedly, never stopping to appreciate being in the moment. Hindsight is 20/20. Circumstances change for my beautiful family in the blink of an eye. I regret disregarding those precious moments. I can't get those back. I can only move forward and be mindful of living every day to the fullest." And there's a photo of Felix with his son. Really unique. And it says here, "Felix is the love of my life. He's my husband of 11 years, my best friend, and the world's most amazing father to our 2-year-old son. Felix is loving, generous, hardworking, kind, and compassionate. No matter how tired he was from his day, he always made time for me and our son. Felix was working well over 60 hours a week, commuting 2 hours every day when he suddenly got sick. Felix was our sole provider. I stopped working after giving birth and stayed home when we became aware that our son had some developmental issues which needed to be addressed. Before August 2015, Felix had never been to a hospital. That morning, our life changed forever. Felix, who was only 34 years old, had a grand mal seizure and ended up in neuro ICU. With seizures every 4 hours. His brain was extremely swollen and he was in critical condition. During that time, Felix was completely incoherent. There were times he did not know who I was or our son's birthday, to name a few things. It was heartbreaking. The doctors quickly discovered an inoperable golf ball-sized tumor situated in his brain along his motor strip and language center. A biopsy revealed that Felix has a rare, aggressive, malignant brain cancer which is spreading. Felix still has seizures, confusion, fatigue, dizziness, nausea, and difficulty using his right side of his body, which is steadily getting worse. Felix needs treatment immediately in order to save his life. He'll be undergoing aggressive treatment, including daily chemotherapy and 5 days a week of targeted radiation beginning next week. I will have to balance my son's needs throughout all of this since he has his own issues. I need to pay for therapies while early intervention is possible. The expenses for medications, daily visits, and treatments for Felix are astronomical, not including regular day-to-day expenses and paying bills. The initial hospitalization and brain biopsy alone were $150,000 and counting. We are in a very difficult position financially, and every penny will help at this point. I will not be able to work while I take my husband to radiation and chemo, plus take my son to his appointments. Thank you for the compassion to read all of this. I know this is a lot. Thank you for your more support you all have provided and continue to provide throughout this devastating time for my family. We are so very grateful for any and all support. It is very special and means a lot to us. Remember to cherish every day to the fullest. In a blink of an eye, everything can change. Roll with the punches and don't get hung up on what's next. It's not worth sweating the small stuff. Love, the Torres family. Yeah, sometimes it's true. She's absolutely correct. People take too many things for granted, and plus, they get all tied up on petty things. We all have our pitfalls, even myself as a human being. But what they have to focus on is our principles. There's a lot more things that are important than the small stuff, material things, and all this garbage you see on real TV, and the Church of Hollywood attributes and presentations and advice. To me, I usually just flush that down the toilet. Flush it. Don't let it linger. Get real gray real quick. And I do know Felix Torres and Deborah, myself. We had great conversations together. They love talking to me. And I think I'm an interesting individual that's talk on multiple areas. And she was involved. I think she's a paralegal. I believe she's a paralegal. And very intelligent woman. He's a great man. He always takes care of. Always talk about their son. And that's essential. Families have been very, very vital. That's why I get a little bit irritated when I hear the mind control scumbags, excuse my language, but it's how I feel on this topic, that they want to control us, think that family is not important. Well, I just tell them to stick it up their rectum as far as I'm concerned. And there's times like this, like to smack the daylights out of these vultures. Treat them like they are pieces of garbage. It's not hate towards them, but their actions. There's a big difference. And that's why there are moments you gotta really be thankful for living, surviving. These are some scary but exciting times in the balance factor. This is why I do my show like this, put the message out, give you my intake, and try to lay down all the facts to the best of my ability. And feel free to send me something, or if you disagree, it's okay. I'm not gonna crucify you. I always say, just always use the decorum, because an honorable discussion has always been righteous for me. Instead of pointing fingers and saying F you and so forth. But, as a young guy, 34 years old, man, you gotta really put your thoughts, your prayers, and blessings towards his family, and even the ones have these illnesses, or they have issues. You gotta always stick together. And that's what really counts. So if you could donate at least $1 to this cause, I'd be grateful. You know, and some people throw 100, some people throw 200, some people throw 50 in, which is great. Because I threw money in there too. And it just is a good cause. Yeah, like I said, we all have our little issues, little pop problems. You know, try to get by, do what we can, and try to be successful, and, you know, family, spiritually, you know, and career, you know, just in the balance factor. So, and I know people who died of skin cancer. One person I knew who died of skin cancer, even though I had my battles with him in the past. He was a union brother, but never, you know, show any bitterness towards him. Have our differences, debates on principle, and that's it. We could still shake hands. And he had skin cancer, and it's pretty neat because when he told me that we were doing a show together at the up in Boca Raton, had a little chat, and I let him know point blank. Listen, everything we discuss, you know, stagehand union related, it's always been business and principle, and that's it. However, I direct this towards him. This is personal. You gotta beat the living daylights out of this cancer and annihilate through oblivion, because there's people out there that do love you, especially your family. He never heard me speak like that before, and he thanked me. I hugged him. I go, don't tell anyone about this, okay? He just laughed. He just suffered, but I did see him a few days of his life, and his wife at the time said he thanked me for attending, because all I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to him. But one thing I knew for sure, we left on honorable terms. Never beat anyone when they're down, even the one you may despise. And that's how I see things. But definitely, cherish the moment. That's why I tell people to keep on spreading love, and may garden spirits with you. Did I say that? With authenticity, not for gimmicks or anything like that. But once again, if you could donate to this family, send it, share it, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, doesn't matter. Like $1 can be great. And because like I said, it's a real pain in the neck, even with the whole medical care, healthcare system and all that. It's just crazy. But definitely support the cause. And the Torres family, you know, they're good people. So do what you can, my friends. And I'm going to begin with my other goodies here. This one is from massprivatel.blogspot.com. Originally was informed by Next News Network. Pretty disturbing case. And it's entitled, DHS will soon decide whether you'll be granted the privilege to drive in America. This is from Papers, according to Papers, Please. And there's a little link to that. You can link to it, and it'll tell you all the rundown. I've read it, and I find it very disturbing. However, I'll just read from here. A sickening California bill is set to pass in October unless the government vetoes it. Bill AB 1465 is just another example of a police state America gone crazy. The California Department of Motor Vehicles shall require an applicant for original driver's license or identification card to submit satisfactory of residency, and that the applicant's presence in the United States is authorized under federal law, which is also known as the REAL ID Act, which was passed through the Military Appropriations Bill of 2005, and many people who are Democrats and Republicans voted for it, and of course the twit bend over Bob to the New World Order himself, Jorge Walker Bush, signed into law. And people tell me, when they see those signs, miss me yet? I would just take a dump on it and spread it all over that portrait. We'll proceed. The bill is silent on what will constitute evidence of California residency, and that the applicant's presence in the United States is authorized under federal law, and what standard of proof would be required. Would it be to the DMV to decide what that means? Just to let you know, there are like multiple links here too, so just give you guys a heads up. We didn't receive authorization to move to California from other states. Did you? Did anyone? How will we testify our burden of showing such authorization? And what about native Californians? We thought our right of residence anywhere in the U.S. was one of our human rights as U.S. citizens, not dependent or any authorization from the government. Does anyone trust DHS? I say hell no. How long before RMVs everywhere are instructed to deny issuing driver's licenses to people to speak out against the government? Oh yeah. I know they'll probably crucify me. DHS outsourced state driver's licensing and IDs to the American Association of Motor Vehicles Administrations, or AAMVA, through a no-bid contract. The breakdowns of awards obtained by hstoday.us signifies that AAMVA effectively gains a no-bid contract under the awards, as DHS designates it the sole natural centralized database of driver's license information under the Real ID Act through a grant award to the state of Missouri. The AAMVA works with the DMVs nationwide to identify problem drivers. The Problem Driver Pointer System, DPDPS, is a system that allows jurisdictions and other organizations to research the national driver's registration data. The NDR is a repository of information on problem drivers provided by all 51 U.S. jurisdictions, based on information received as a result of an NDR search. PDPS points the inquiring jurisdiction to the state of record, whereas an individual driver status and history information is stored based on the information received from the SOR. The issuing state decides if the applicant is eligible to receive a new or renewed driver's license. Oh, how goody. Please, big brother, think for me. Think for the state. Because they're too damn lazy to think for themselves. Sorry about that. You might as well replace that last sentence with DHS will instruct the DMV if the applicant receive a new or renewed driver's license. What's more disturbing, knowing DHS and the DMV know everything about you, or letting a private company have all the surveillance power to shape political agendas, laws, courts, law enforcement, etc. The potential for abuse is all too real. Still think that's crazy? Our politicians would never let that happen. Here's a telling example of what it's like to get a driver's license in America right now. Below is an excerpt taken from the National Driver's Registration Problem Driver Pointer System page. To the National Driver Register status, no match. The individual does not have a record on the NDR. License means the individual holds a license in the state, and the privilege to drive is valid. Yes, government, can you please wipe my behind? I have to have a license to wipe my butt too, right? Eligible, the individual privilege to drive for or apply for a license in a state is valid. Not the individual privilege to drive in state is valid. NEN, N-E-N. The individual privilege to drive in the States is invalid due to a moving violation. What we have learned so far, DHS and the DMV and police think our government has the right to grant Americans the privilege to drive. But wait, it gets worse. Every police encounter, wherever you have been arrested or not, and every driving infraction you've ever had is recorded by DHS/RMV. Exactly. Below is an excerpt taken from the NDR's website. Recording, sharing, and using information section. There's plenty of light blue, lettering here, font, like aqua blue. You can just, they're all considered links if I'm correct. Oh yeah, you'd be surprised here, my friends. It says here, arrest records and records of police contact. Those records kept by police reflect an individual's previous arrest or any other episodes involving the individual that resulted in police contact but may not have resulted in an arrest. Yes, so if you bust their chops, they can get you, they can track that down and go, yeah, that man has an attitude problem because I pulled him over for my quota. Quota go. Alright, now to continue on here. Records of prior diversions. These records may be kept by police prosecutors or the court. Click here and find out about court-ordered divisions. Record priors of alcohol and other drug abuse treatment history. School records involving alcohol or drug-related incidences. Yes, can we say 1984? Big brother, think for me, big brother. Let me lick the boots you walk on, or kiss the floor you walk on. I know I'm rambling here for a moment, but you gotta use sarcasm now and then. And we'll go in here as well. Since they've already acknowledged they have records of every police encounter you've ever had, you can bet they have your entire school records as well. I know that. DHS and RMV also keep a record of any DUI dismissals an individual might have. First, such a system should track all offenses from arrest through dismissal or sentence completion. They even have a section that claims to show you how you can get your name removed from the NDR, but all it really says is good luck. Contact each state and ask them to remove your name. We all know what the odds of that are. So, what should you do? So, what should I do now to get removed from the NDR? The process is a lot simpler than many states and employees make it. Here are the steps for you in order to get removed from the NDR and get your license restored. Get your National Driver's License Driver's Registry file. Your National Driver's Registry file will tell you which states have reported your records to the NDR. Even though you may think that only one state has your records, it's a good idea to check the NDR's file to guarantee that you know all of the states that you will need to get your records from. There's a link for that. Get your driver's register file check forms here. 2. Get your driver record from each state listed in your National Driver Registry file. Once you have your National Driver Registry file, you can come back to this website to get this form that you need for each respective state that is listed in your file. You will need to get the form from each state, complete the forms entirely, and mail them in. Get your state driver's records request forms here. 3. Contact each state and resolve all outstanding issues. Once you have your state driver's records, contact each individual state that has listed you on the NDR to find out what you need to do in order to get your record clear with each respective state. In many cases, the states will include information with your state driver record. Our mission, NDR, is to improve traffic and transportation safety by providing a nationwide database of all problem drivers that assist state driver's license agencies in identifying these individuals and assist employers make hiring and certification decisions. Oh, hallelujah. Not only will be denied a driver's license in the near future, but you could be denied a job. Yeah. Mao Tae-sung will be extremely proud. The AAMVA is also helping DHS Institute E-Verify nationwide. E-Verify is an internet-based system that compares information from an employee's Form I-9 employment eligibility verification to data from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Social Security Administration records to confirm employment eligibility. The records and information from DMV's and EV, or they call it RIDE initiative, is an enhancement to the E-Verify program that verifies the validity of driver's license and ID card information by matching the data entered by employers against jurisdiction records. Well, could we all sing and hold hands and go 1984? Absolutely. This is what they wanted. And here's the thing, because they know what they'll say. It's because of September 11th, 2001. So they have to protect us for our own good. So once again, government knows best. Flush it down the toilet because it was really extremely potent. So this is why when the state of California, they had that law, which hopefully that Muppet bald-headed geek named Jerry Brown will veto it. If not, it'll be a big domino effect. Now, hopefully, the people, the elected servants in Florida will be listening to this show, because if you support this Real ID Act, you are just nothing more than an Uncle Tom to tyranny, or Aunt Jemima as well. I say that ethically. This is very disturbing. This is why, when it comes to government, you can never trust them. Like, once again, in Latin, it means control of the mind. So, I'm going to add this. I'm going to definitely, everything I'm going to be talking about be in the speaker footnotes on the speaker page. I'm going to add the video from Net News Network on here as well, which is from via YouTube. So please, folks, you have to always be vigilant, because truth, justice, and the goody two-shoes way will never will give you homage. Everything has to be earned rather than given. So please be vigilant in this area. Yeah. So the next thing I'm going to be addressing came from the Neo Outlook, right? That's the name of it? Yeah, New Eastern Outlook by Neo. Journal-neo.org. And this one is actually called The Fundamentals of U.S. Surveillance, What Edward Snowden Never Told Us. Alright, by Janet Phelan. And it reads here, former U.S. intelligence contractor Edward Snowden's revelations rocked the world. According to his detailed report, the U.S. has launched massive spying programs and was scrutinizing the communications of American citizens in a manner which could only be described as extreme and intense. The U.S. reactions were swift to the point. Nobody's listening to your telephone calls, President Obama said when asked about the NSA, as quoted in The Guardian. Obama went on to say that surveillance programs were fully overseen not just by Congress, but by the FISA court, a court specifically put together to evaluate classified programs to make sure that the executive branch or government generally is not abusing them. However, it appears that Snowden may have missed a pivotal point of the U.S. surveillance program, and in stating that nobody is not listening to our calls. President Obama may have been fudging quite a bit. Of course, this came from his teleprompter, go figure. In fact, Great Britain maintains a listening post at NSA headquarters. The law's restrictive live wiretaps does not apply to foreign countries, and thus this listening post is not subject to U.S. law. In other words, restrictions upon wiretaps, etc., do not apply to the British listening post. So when Great Britain hands over the recordings to the NSA, technically speaking, the law is not being broken, and technically speaking, The U.S. is not eavesdropping on each and every call. It is Great Britain which is doing the eavesdropping and turning over these records to U.S. intelligence, according to John Loftus, formerly an attorney with the Department of Justice and author of a number of books concerning the U.S. intelligence activities. Back in the late 70s, the U.S. DOJ issued a memorandum proposing an amendment to FISA. Loftus, who recalls seeing the memo, stated in a conversation this week that the DOJ proposed inserting the words by the NSA into the FISA law, so the scope of the law would only restrict surveillance by the NSA, not by the British. Any subsequent sharing of the data cooled through the listening post was strictly outside the arena of FISA. Obama was less than forthcoming when he insisted that what I can say unequivocally is that if you're a U.S. person, the NSA cannot listen to your telephone calls, and the NSA cannot target your emails, and have not. According to Loftus, the NSA is indeed listening as Great Britain is turning over the surveillance records en masse to that agency. Loftus states that the arrangement is reciprocal, with the U.S. maintaining the parallel listening post in Great Britain. In an interview this past week, Loftus told this reporter that he believes that Snowden simply did not know about the arrangement between Britain and the U.S. As a contractor says Loftus, Snowden would not have had access to this information, and thus his detailed reports on the extent of U.S. spying, including such programs as Score, which analyzes internet data based on global demographics, and PRISM, under which the telecommunication companies such as Google, Facebook, et al. Are mandated to collect our communications, missed the critical issue of the FISA loophole. Under PRISM, says Snowden, the U.S. has deputized corporate telecoms to do its dirty work for them. PRISM declared Snowden was indeed about content rather than metadata. However, other reports indicated that PRISM was not collecting telephone conversations and was only collecting targeted internet communications. The most detailed descriptions of the PRISM program was released in a report from the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board on July 2, 2014. The report disclosed that these internet communications are not collected in bulk, but in a targeted way. Only communications that are to or from specific selectors, like email addresses, can be gathered. Under PRISM, there is no collection based upon keywords or names. Private Civil Liberties Oversight Board report on the surveillance program operate pursuant to Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, July 2, 2014. The U.S. government officials have defended the programs by asserting it cannot be used on domestic targets without a warrant. But once again, the FISA court and their super secret warrants does not apply to foreign government surveillance of U.S. citizens. So all this strum and drang about whether or not the U.S. is eavesdropping in our communications is in fact irrelevant and diversionary. Section 215 of the U.S. Patriot Act, which authorized extensive surveillance capabilities, expired in June of 2015. Within one day, it was replaced by the misnamed USA Freedom Act. In a widely designated tweet, President Obama stated, "Glad the Senate finally passed the USA Freedom Act. It protects civil liberties and our national security." Flush. I will proceed. In fact, USA Freedom Act reinstituted a number of surveillance protocols of Section 215, including the authorization for roving wiretaps and tracking lone wolf terrorists, while mainstream media herald the passage of the bill as restoring privacy rights, which are shredded under 215. Privacy advocates have maintained that the bill will do little, if anything, to reverse the surveillance situation in the U.S. The NSA went on record as supporting the Freedom Act, stating it would end bulk collection of the telephone metadata, and I can dream about it. The NSA will keep their word. Oh, not okay. Continue here. However, in the light of the reciprocal agreement between the U.S. and Great Britain, the entire hoopla over NSA surveillance, Section 215, FISA Court, and the USA Freedom Act could be seen as a giant smokescreen. If Britain is collecting our real-time phone conversations and turning them over to the NSA, the outside realm or reach of the above stated laws, that then all this posturing over the privacy rights of U.S. citizens and surveillance laws expiring and being resurrected doesn't amount to a hill of CDs. The NSA was contacted with query about the GB listening post, as was British intelligence. The GCHQ spokesperson stated, "Our response is that we do not comment on intelligence matters." The NSA also declined to comment. Well, that's typical 1984 New World Order propaganda, because the truth of the matter is that all these little pretty words don't mean diddly squat, because remember, when it is the Patriot Act was unpatriotic, and the USA Freedom Act, it is actually called, it should be called the USA Tyrannical Act, because this is how they want you to believe. These pretty little words, and the fine print is disgustingly pathetic. I would like to tell people, when you have these cell phone conversations, start cursing at them, calling them all these ridiculing names, even if you use a little egregiousness in it, without making any threat, by calling them fudge packers, peeping toms, hopefully climaxing over your phone conversations and your emails. Because you know why? Because these bastards and vultures have nothing better to do with their lives. I bet you all the little pencil neck geeks and a bunch of simple people that couldn't even score with cockroaches, okay, are probably in these areas going, "Oh yeah, now I got all this power. I can listen to everyone's conversations. I can say who's a terrorist and who's not." Yeah, the truth of the matter is, to all the peeping toms out there, you're the terrorist. You're the truest parasites. You are the bend over Bobs or Angel Mamas and Uncle Toms to the New World Order. And you know what? I don't give a damn if you hate my guts, because the more you hate me, the more I be inspired not to be like you clowns. So you know what? Everyone's got to start ridiculing these peasants, one way or the other, and do it with love rather than malice. Because why? Because hatred towards them is too good. There's no fun in that whatsoever. And Janet Phelan, thank you very much for this article. Kudos to you, my friend. Alright, next one here. Actually, I'm not a big fan of the United Nations. However, it's got my attention. It's from the UNWatch.org. It's a blog, by the way. It's entitled, "Saudi Arabia Wins Bid to be Head of UN Human Rights to Council Panel View from Geneva." Oh yeah, that's going to be interesting here. Now, as it reads here, it came out on the 20th, by the way. U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power and the EU Foreign Minister Federica Mogherini should condemn and work to reverse the appointment of Saudi Arabia as head key of the UN Human Rights Council panel that selects top officials who shape international human rights standards and report on violations worldwide, said UN Watch, a non-governmental watchdog organization based in Geneva. It is scandalous that the UN chose a country that has beheaded more people this year than ISIS to be head of a key human rights panel, said UN Watch Executive Director Hillel Noor. Petrodollars and politics have trumped human rights. Saudi Arabia has arguably the worst record in the world when it comes to religious freedom and women's rights, and continues to imprison the innocent blogger Raif Badi, Noor said. This UN appointment is making a pyromaniac into the town fire chief and underscore the credibility of deficit of a human rights council that already counts Russia, Cuba, China, Qatar, and Venezuela among its elected members. And there's a picture of Faisal Triad, Saudi Arabia's ambassador in Geneva, has been elected chair of the UN Human Rights Council. Panel that appoints independent experts Right Michael Mueller, Director General of the United Nations Office at Geneva. I find this hilarious. It's what Ensaf Haidar said. It is a green light to start flogging Raif Badi again. And as it says here, and Haidar, wife of jail Saudi blogger Raif Badi, today criticized the election of Saudi Arabia as the chairperson of the UN Human Rights Council panel, saying the decision is like a green light to start flogging Raif Badi again. According to the UNHRC documents obtained by UN Watch, Saudi Arabia was chosen to head a 5-member group of ambassadors known as a consultative group, which has the power to select applicants from around the world for more than 77 positions, dealing with country-specific and thematic human rights mandates. They often describe these experts as the crown jewels of its Human Rights Council, yet the world body only undermines their legitimacy by picking a fundamentalist theocracy that oppresses women and minorities to preside over experts' appointment. I'm sorry, this is very extremely comical. A UN report dated September 17th reports that Faisal Triad, Saudi Arabia envoy to the UNHRC, was selected to chair the panel for the appointments to be made in the current 30th session of the council, which opened on Monday and will last for another 2 weeks. The Saudi ambassador was first elected to the point ahead of the recent June 2015 session, yet Geneva's diplomats chose to keep silent, and that initial went unreported until now. Raif Badi's wife, Ensaf Haidar, receiving the 2015 Geneva Summit Courage Award on behalf of her husband, a political prisoner in Saudi Arabia, delivered to her home in Sherbrooke, Quebec, by UN Watch Director Hayel Nauru on July 6, 2015. Deal for dropping Saudi's presidency bid. Noor expressed concern that Saudis may have been handled the position in a backroom deal in exchange for dropping the regime's controversial bid to become the president for the entire 47-nation council. I urge Ambassador and High Commissioner Mogherini to confirm that this is not the case, he said. Radi pulled out from seeking the council presidency in June following the UN Watch's protest campaign covered in newspapers worldwide. I wouldn't be surprised, okay? U.S. and EU were silent when Saudi Arabia was elected to UNHRC in 2013. We cannot forget that the U.S. and the EU refused to utter a word of protest when we urged them together with Saudi's descendants to oppose a monarchy's election in 2013. Is a sad comment on a world that oil continues to trump the basic rights principle. It is bad enough that Saudi Arabia is a member of the council, but for the UN to go and name the regime as chair of a key panel only pours salt in the wounds for descendants languishing in Saudi prisons, like human rights activist Raif Badawi. But I have to laugh. This is totally ludicrous, okay? And it was so funny about this. Even the U.S. and the EU didn't say a word about it. And it doesn't matter what damn party they were in. I had the same dinkleberries from both sides. Neocons, neolibs, they're also known as neo-quacks. All right, when they go, oh well, we have to. Cuba has violated a lot of human rights issues. Violating human rights. A lot of human rights issues happening in Cuba. Yeah, but when it comes to Saudi Arabia, you're dropping your pants and go, come here, Prince, give it to me, baby. All right, because this is total hypocrisy. And even the EU is the same thing with their Club of Rome platform. All right, this is why I just scratch my head. All right, I really do. And like I said, I'm not a fan of the United Nations in general, but I'm not saying everyone in there are bad folks. They want to do what's right. But the whole thing is they're a big scam. Okay, they inherited a disaster. All right, This is how I observe the UN. I've been following. I've been proudly have my anti-UN flag, and people telling me what's that for. I go, I don't care about this one world order government. The United Nations is part of the problem. They believe that our rights, natural born rights, should be privileges. But this is so, that's why I had to laugh about reading this article, because they believe, they made these. I'm not surprised if the Saudis made this deal to get this douchebag in there to be president of the Human Rights Council. It's like a Twilight Zone, bizarro. But definitely, that's what I tell folks. You gotta really pay attention. Start ridiculing these bastards, these ingrates, because their actions are unacceptable. Like they said, they're very Saudi Arabia does treat their people horrendously, with contempt. Because even the time when Mao Tse-tung died, the people in the House of Representatives, they should pay tribute to Mao Tse-tung, and Congressman Ron Paul said, this man butchered like 60 million people. What's going to be next? Adolf Hitler? Or Joseph Stalin? Just to name a couple? Or how about Idi Amin? Yeah, we'll do that for him as well. But the fact about Idi Amin, he who was a dictator in Uganda, he went to Saudi Arabia in exile. And when he died around 2002, I think it was 2002, yeah, I emailed everyone and said, Saudi Arabia has harbored a terrorist. How come we didn't bomb them? The United States didn't bomb them. In the name of the war on terror. You know why? Because the war on terror is nothing more than a wet dream. But this is really insulting, and don't matter what your views are, okay, with Saudi Arabia and so forth. But the way they go and treat their people, the regime, the monarch, is unacceptable, null and void. Right, that's like supposed to be like Sharia law there, okay? So, but we can't touch them. They're not radicals. Yeah, it's like me giving you a penile microphone and telling you're mumbling. So, this is really, really insulting, my friends. And like I said here, there's nothing more than a clear deception. But definitely start ridiculing these people. That's why I tell people for a long time, you gotta start laughing at them. That's all they're good at. That's all they can understand. You can laugh at them. But one day, the realm will crumble. And we're gonna do blame America? Nah. Blame yourselves. That's all I gotta say. Start blaming yourselves. And I'm just taking a little time here. Yeah, I took enough time there. So, and that'll be enough said about the thing that happened with the Saudi Arabia debacle with the so-called leader of the United Nations Human Rights Committee. Let's behead more people. Alright, finally, this is from the Daily Sheeple. And this one's entitled, A Record Number of Prisoners Were Exonerated Last Year. Yeah, this is by Joshua Krause. And as it reads, it came out this 19th to be exact, as it reads, when you really break it down, the criminal justice system is the linchpin of a functional government. The government may have numerous responsibilities, but their ability to catch criminals and punish them is the most important. In fact, if some libertarians are to believe, if you shrink the government down the smallest possible size, you will be left with nothing but the military, the police, and the courts. And some countries like Costa Rica and Dominica don't even have a military. A government with the barest institutions run by a skeleton crew would essentially consist of nothing more than the courts, the people who were elected to legislate the court's rules, and the police officers tasked with enforcing those rules, while most people would rather give the government more responsibilities and more staff. It is the government as its lowest common denominator. So what happens if the government sucks at the job? What if they fill their prisons to the brim with nonviolent offenders while losing their ability to catch real violent criminals? And worst of all, what if they are jailing an alarmed number of innocent people? It turns out latter of those issues may be a growing problem. There are more people being wrongly convicted of crimes they didn't commit than before. That's according to the University of Michigan's National Registry of Exonerations, which released a report Thursday that documented 2014 as the highest year for proven wrongful convictions of innocent people. This record high reached 125 people proven innocent after wrongful conviction in 2014. Prior to that, 2013 was the highest year on record at 91 wrongful convictions. This shows a disturbing and steady upward trend of police, court, and prison collision to lock up innocent people. In Texas, investigators found 33 people falsely convicted of drug offenses in Harris County alone, near Houston. Judging from known exonerations in 2014, the legal system is increasingly willing to act on innocent claims that have often been ignored. Those without biological evidence or with no perpetrator who can be identified because, in fact, no crime was committed. Cases with comparatively light sentences and judgments based on guilty pleas by defendants who accepted plea bargains to avoid pretrial detention and the risk of harsher punishment after trial, the NRE report stated. The number of exonerations is now 6 times higher than it was in 1989, which is significantly more than the growth of the U.S. prison population. There are only a couple dozen of these cases in the late 80s, and now there are more than a hundred per year. You might think this is due to the advent of DNA testing technologies, but that only accounts for a minority of these cases. In fact, DNA-related exonerations have actually been declining since 2009. What is not entirely clear, though, is whether or not these cases indicate that our justice system is arresting more innocent people or they're just getting better at letting them go. Contrary to the NRE's claims, the fact is difficult to pin down. What do we know? Is that there's a serious problem with innocent people confessing the crime they didn't commit. Of the 125 people who were released last year, 47 had pleaded guilty to the crime, which is a substantial increase from previous years. This is likely due to police interrogation techniques, which have a tendency to produce false confessions. Either way, this may be the tip of the iceberg. Somehow, I doubt that out of millions of people who are trapped in our prison system, only a few hundred are innocent. If some estimates are true, that anywhere between 4.1% and 6% of our prisoners are innocent. There is something seriously wrong with our justice system, a system that I might add, is supposed to be the core of a functional government. Yes. Well, when you have our police system instead of being peace officers, they are being trained to be more aggressive and see how many people they can put in the system. It's like a quota baiting scheme, I would say. If some people get offended by that, I could care less. Something what Dale Carson would say, who was a former Miami police officer and former FBI agent that was involved with the Miami River Cops case. Actually broke it wide open, believe it or not. I remember that during the 80s when I was living in down South Florida. It's just an example. Peace officers instead of deputies of Nottingham. And of course, a lot of the folks, this is plea no contest or guilty because you don't understand. It costs me money and this and that. So they become the yes folks, the peasants. I hate saying it. Even people who I love dearly went through that and it's disappointing, and they go, oh, you don't understand. Like, you know what? Being a yes person doesn't get you anywhere. You have to be a vigilant pain in the neck. Focus, fight for your principles. Don't play I'm guilty because they gave me a deal. I usually, if someone gives me a deal, I haven't done anything, I'll just get that paper, wipe my butt on it, and give it back to my attorney and tell him you're fired. That's how I see things. And now with technology, have your cameras on you. Be vigilant. Even if the police ask you questions, you don't have to say a damn thing. Alright? Texas versus Brown. Look it up. You'll be surprised. Judista.com is the name of the site. They're very accurate on that. But let's type in Texas versus Brown. You don't have to say a word to them. Period. So stop pussyfooting around or dilly-dallying and go, okay, boss. Because even though the police, they believe they own the streets, you don't have to be there the entrapped one and being a peasant. And I'm not here to condemn the police in general, but I do see things that are very disturbing. Firsthand, I observe and witness a lot. Even if I'm trying to confront me with their garbage, I just laugh at them in a real honorable way. Principles. You have to always got to have it every time. Doesn't matter. This is why I get a little bit touchy on these things. And the false confessions and all that. But the exoneration rate, yeah, it has to stop. And this is why I support jury nullification. If you've ever been a juror and you see cases like this, you have the power to say not guilty. One person can hang a jury. The judge don't like it, the prosecutor don't like it. Who the hell cares? You're the most powerful people in the courtroom. And these victimless crime laws, they have to go. No victim, no crime. Oh my goodness, the guy has 30 ounces of marijuana, or he's smoking a joint. Oh my goodness! Run to the hills. Was he driving? Okay, that's a little bit different. But on the street, on your property, doing your own personal indulgence, recreationally. You have to have responsibility, of course, but no victim, no crime. There's too many victimless crime laws in the books, and a lot within the United States of America, and it has to be relinquished or terminated by legislation, civil disobedience, or jury notification. So this is how I look at this. The exoneration rates, it's costing a lot of people money, especially the private prison firms managing CCA, Geo Group, and a few others. They have to say, hey, you better bring me inmates. They gotta go too. That's why when I talk about legislating victimless crime laws, or not being defiant towards it, or including jury nullification, you put them out of business. So always stay vigilant. And that is all for now, my friends. Thanks for listening to this episode. Plus, always feel free to download and share this all throughout your social media network. If you have any questions, comments, criticisms, love letters, hate letters, send me some cool information that I may be interested in. That'd be great. But always use your rhetoric, correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker. Send your comments to iHeartRadio or YouTube. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is number 3, okay, at gmail.com. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, Take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.